Hi, this is George from George's Insects, and welcome to episode 3 of Getting a Pet Tortoise. So if you haven't seen episode 1 and 2, I recommend you start off the series by watching episode 1. So if you haven't clicked off at this point, I'm going to assume that you've watched episode 1 and therefore done an extensive amount of research for a long period of time, chosen a type of tortoise, so tropical or Mediterranean, chosen a species of tortoise, so for example, the elongated tortoise, the Horsfield's tortoise, the Greek tortoise, the Redford tortoise, the Sulcata tortoise, the Galapagos tortoise, so chosen a species. And then I'm going to assume that you've also watched episode 2, which means you fully understand the care of the species that you are going to get, and that you have actually set up an enclosure ready for your tortoise to arrive. So, this is going to be the final episode in the series of Getting a Pet. This is not going to be the final episode, it's going to be final but one. So there's one more episode coming after this in the series, so definitely stay tuned and watch that when it comes out in the next week. Okay, so back to this episode. Today I will be covering finding a breeder and purchasing your tortoise. So, you want to find a reputable breeder. So I'm just going to move the camera here so you can see Poppy eating. So yes, you want to find a reputable breeder. The tortoise that you have in front of you, her name is Poppy. She is an adult female Horsfield's tortoise. The Latin name is Testudo Horsfieldi. So you want to be Googling these things and finding reputable breeders. You don't want to buy from a chain pet shop, for example, PetSmart or Petco. Those are the US brands. They tend not to sell tortoises in chain pet shops. Now the next best thing is a privately owned pet shop. It's not a chain of pet shops, it's a single person. And there's loads of those about, and they tend to sell loads of tortoises. Examples in Swansea are Amazonia Exotics and World of Aquatics. I would highly recommend those both to you. And then the best option, the best option by far is finding a breeder. So this can be as simple as maybe joining a couple of reptile groups. You can go on amino apps, Facebook, Instagram. Join a couple of reptile groups, get talking to people, talk to your veterinarian, and maybe they know someone who breeds tortoises. You can contact me, I may know someone who breeds tortoises. So just contact people, talk to people, and find someone who breeds tortoises. So for example, when I'm getting my new pet, I was in the Facebook reptile group and I asked does anyone breed this in my local area, and I found someone really reputable. And the things to look for in a reputable breeder are they allow you to see pictures of the gecko, of the animal. Sorry, they know the Latin name, they know general care information about them, they know how to take care of their animals. And plus, that you've already done your research and know that they are providing you with correct care. If not, you want to move on to a different breeder because that is not a reputable breeder. Also, you want the breeder to know your animal's age and weight and when they were born. That's really important in a reputable breeder. Another thing you want to know is, excuse me, is whether they allow you to go and see the animal physically and handle the animal, to really understand the personality of the animal that you want to purchase. So that's what to look for in a reputable breeder. Now there is another option that can be just as good as a reputable breeder. It is either rehoming or rescuing. So what rehoming means is you find a person who is no longer able to take care of their tortoise. So, for example, you want to find a person that is reputable. So what this means is that they know how to care for the tortoise. They allow you to go and see the setup. They allow you to interact with the tortoise physically. They send you pictures, things to look out for. And you want to make sure when you're rehousing a tortoise or rehoming a tortoise, what you want to make sure is that they are healthy. Things to look out for is that they don't have diarrhea, they have clear black eyes, they aren't cloudy in any way, Another thing to look out for is they walk normally. You want to check that their nails aren't too long. They don't have an overgrown beak. They don't have any pyramiding in the shell, because these all are signs of bad care or bad husbandry. The only way things like pyramiding can be excused is if, say, the person rehoming them to you actually rescued them and they already had pyramiding when they got them, then that is acceptable. It's just like cloudy eyes, telltale sign that the tortoise is currently unwell. So so those are things to make sure health-wise, to make sure the tortoise you're buying is healthy. Now another option is actually rescuing, as I mentioned. So here's Poppy. She is a rescued tortoise. Now, rescuing can be a bit risky because the tortoise can be unwell. For example, when I got Poppy, she does have some mild calcium deficiency, but it's nothing too bad because she was not cared for properly with their previous owners. So they didn't have any UVB or heat. They didn't have the correct diet, didn't have a water dish. They didn't have any substrate. It was just appalling care, to be quite frank. So the way I found Poppy to rescue is that a friend of the family actually had this tortoise given to her, and obviously 3 days before she contacted us, and she actually didn't know how to care for the tortoise. So obviously she had this tortoise dumped on her, and she didn't know how to care for it, so she contacted me, and I helped her out, and I rescued Poppy. So I went to see when I went to see Poppy, she obviously had not been having soak-ins. She was kind of dehydrated. She had kind of long nails. She didn't have an overgrown beak, but she has very mild pyramiding, but it's not too bad at all. She has a mild calcium deficiency, as we found out when we took her for her vet appointment, and she had dry skin, which is obviously from the dehydration, and also her right eye was actually stuck shut, and it was a bit cloudy. So obviously we took her to the vet, and we managed to get the eye open with non-surgical methods, so that was good. But yeah, it can be quite risky rescuing, because if you're rescuing it from just a person, then you can't be certain the history of the tortoise, whether there's any internal parasites, anything like that. You can't be certain of the actual health of the tortoise. But a great way of rescuing is actually going to your local rescue centre. It may be an RSPCA centre, or maybe a privately owned centre, where someone or an organisation rescues the animals and then gives them on to reputable owners. So if you go to these places, they will know the approximate age of the tortoise, and they will have been checked thoroughly by a vet and made sure they don't have any parasites, infections, mites, anything like that. So go to a reputable rescue. That's another really good way of getting a tortoise. But again, it's not for everyone. If you want to get a baby tortoise and get that experience, then you want to go to a reputable breeder. So just decide what's best for you in terms of that. So by this point in this video, I'll go over all the stuff we learned in the series. First, you decided on a type of tortoise, whether it was tropical or Mediterranean. Then you decided on a species, whether it was Horsfields, Greek, Redfoot, Cherryhead, and then you researched all the care required, and you understand all the care required. Then you have actually set up the enclosure ready for your animal. And now, after this video, what you would have done is actually found a reputable breeder. So I'm just going to go over a couple of approximate prices. So tortoises can be very expensive when getting from breeders. They can range from 200 to upwards of thousands and thousands of pounds. Another thing you want to make sure is the species is not covered by any regulations unless you actually have access to get those regulations. For example, CITES or DWA, but I don't believe any tortoises are covered by DWA. Yeah, but for example, CITES, anything like that, that means they're an endangered species and need licensing. So you have to make sure that they don't require licensing, or that you actually get this licensing before the animal. So yeah, at the end of this video, what I want you guys to do is find a reputable breeder. If you need any help, my contact links will be down in the description. If you want to buy anything you see in the enclosure, Amazon affiliate links will be down in the description. That's a great way to help out the channel. Go to my online store website. We got all the information there, different things for sale, anything like that. So now that you've decided, now that you were going to go and find a breeder, next episode, I will cover actually acclimating your tortoise, depending whether you got it from a breeder, a rescue, rehoming, anything like that. So thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a thumbs up, and please do consider clicking that subscribe button. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be out in the next week. Yeah, all the links will be in the description. Contact me if you need any help. Also, you can contact me in the comments section. I will answer those. So yeah, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.